Hi everyone, and welcome to our very first takeover. Now, I've been meaning to do this for Dav in my clan for absolutely ages now, but we've just not quite got around to being able to do it. Now, in the first instance, I thought I was just going to go through his account. I need to see where we're at, what it is that I need to do. Dav's given me a good idea, but I just want to see where we are, what we need, what we don't need. And I thought the best place to start is the Great Hall, because I know this is something that he's been doing really well with. Now, he's completed Classic Arena. That's better than me. I can't believe it. I'm actually still working through mine. I think I'm at like level 232 or 231, so I've still got about, probably about 7 or 8,000 what they called the medals to get, but that's on me. But what I did notice was really good on this account is this is great, and also the area bonuses. He's done a lot of these, way more than me. I'm really bad at arena. I've never enjoyed PvP really in any game that I've played. I am much more PvE focused, but I appreciate that, especially since area bonuses have come in, the need to jump into PvP is a lot higher. So off the bat, I can see quite a lot of wasted. Are they called medals here? Crests. I can see a lot of wasted crests. What I think most people are going to throw all of their stuff at these is going to be Hydra battles, and I think probably the best one you can invest into is Ignore Defense. When it comes to Sand Devil, Phantom Shogun, and Curse City, these all have incredibly high accuracy requirements at level 25 on these two, and then hard mode Curse City, especially Amius. I mean, I don't know it off the top of my head, but a general rule, you want to be aiming for somewhere in the realm of about 450 accuracy. So just moving forward, any live arena tokens or crests that you get, I would be feeding into accuracy on these three here, and not all the way up to 10. You don't need it, but what does it go to? Even if you took them to level 5, 40 accuracy is going to make building your champs for that role a lot easier if you don't have to put 40 accuracy on them. I sort of see that as almost like a perception set. Now, the one thing that I've avoided on mine, and I would recommend avoiding only because you will have to compensate for it in the long run, and that is adding speed. Now, the only place I would specifically not add speed, it would be Demon Lord, only because if you had an existing speed tune that worked and then you started investing into this, you are going to throw your speed tune out of whack. Luckily, I've now seen this, so I can make sure that when I do build his clan boss team, I just need to make sure that I take 4 away from the speed that I know that I've worked out in the calculator. As for Hydra, I mean, fill it all. I would actually say this should be your number one priority for what you're going to throw your live arena resources into. Just get this built up. I would prioritize Ignore Defense, speed, and crit damage. That's going to get your maximum output. And then I'd actually focus accuracy resistance, so that when you build the champs, this is something you can ignore, and then we can focus back in on actually doing damage depending on what the role is. But no, this is a really good area bonus. It's way better than mine because I'm just completely terrible at live arena and I really don't enjoy it. But I would say PvP side of things, he's doing really well here. Just, especially once we've built this clan boss team, just make sure that we don't go investing into speed anymore. Once we've got everything built and everything works and we're comfortable with adjusting, maybe then we can look at speed. But for now, just focus Hydra, because I know that that's something that this guy wants his account to do better at. And considering his roster, I think we can make some good teams. This is a high level account. This is 23.5 mil player power. It's more than mine. He's got a brilliant roster of champions. Let's open up both the vaults and put it on this. There's a lot of legendaries, and like me, I know Dav likes to get a champion and then build it up and do the masteries, which is really, really good. That's going to save me a whole lot of time doing this takeover. And what I can see here, you know, he's got 2 pulled mythicals. He's got the fusion mythical, brilliant. I think overall he's actually got a very similar roster to me. He's got a lot of champions I don't have. Especially, I would really like to pull this guy on my account because he's going to be fantastic for Hydra. So we've got our roster. There's kind of no reason why we can't do any of the content. So speaking of content, let's just see where we are. So dungeons, ignore. We're going to come on to Iron Twins probably at the very, very end. I'm going to need to do some research on a team to build for him because my team relies very heavily on Emic. And if I'm not mistaken, Dav doesn't have Emic. No, he doesn't. So we're going to have to do a workaround for that. And I think I will make that the last thing we do because nowadays, you know, blessings are incredibly important. Awakening, sorry. So let's start with Ice Golem. He's done stage 6. That's really good. I only farm stage 1 and stage 6 on my account. I find 10. I have a team for 10. But after I watched it fail twice in a row, I pretty much just dropped back down to 6 because I know it's 100% for me. Look at the team he was using. I can see how he got this down, but that's not the right team, so we will make sure we go back and do that. Now, Dragon. He has done hard 10. This works, but I think we can make it a bit more streamlined. To do it in 74 turns, I think we can probably get a sort of 25-30 turn, which makes for very good turn attack competitions. Spider, I know he can do stage 10, but actually with one of the champs that I'm going to build for him, if any of you have watched my videos before, you know that I'm obsessed with the free login legendary called Arix, which I think you get after about 2.5 years of playing the game, 2.5. Something like that. Arix can actually solo Spider, and obviously you can bring in food, but using Artak, Sulfurion, probably Mithrala, I reckon we can build a sort of maybe even a 6 or 7 turn team. We'll see how we go with that. And then finally, which is definitely going to be the hardest, is Fire Knight. At the end of the day, we've got Mikage and Newt. Do we have... I think because we've got such a similar roster, I'm essentially just going to copy my account over to him because I know what works on my account. And does he have a Stag Knight? He does have a nice +4 stag. Yeah, right, so we're going to be able to work out a team for that. That's good. Dungeons, easy enough. These two, again, more tricky. I know that he doesn't have a Siffy on his account, so I know that 25 consistently fast is going to be tricky, but I do have a little trick to get us from 20 up to 25, and I think we're going to end up going with, it's slightly slow, it will take about 2 minutes per run, but just a Godseeker and Ninja duo, providing the Godseeker has some form of awakening on her. We'll get to that as we go, and then same with Shogun, but that's way more endgame. I think let's just bring his account up to where I think it needs to be first. So that's dungeon teams covered. One thing I have noticed on this account, and I was very guilty of this up until recently, and this account is very starved of resources. I think on mine, I try not to let any of these Void Spirit Force Brews, I never like to let them fall below about 1,000. Only because when they do a guaranteed champion for a training event, I like to be able to just blow all of the brews and not use any other resource. So definitely something to consider would be starting to let this account breathe a little bit and build itself back up, because what I can see is while he's got an amazing account, the problem is when you have this many champions and you're trying to build them all, you are spreading yourself very, very thin And there's a lot of champions in here that, you know, with the way the game is now, you kind of don't really use anymore. For example, like a Mountain King, it's rare to see him really show up in any team. There's a lot of champs that have just been power crept out, and you know, a lot of them are geared, and we probably just don't need the gear on them. So we're going to try and consolidate a lot of this account. Obviously, we're not going to throw any, you can't throw champions away, but I'm probably going to vault a lot of champions that I just don't really think are going to be very beneficial. I know that if I want to say he's got 2 Sun Wukongs, which is just brilliant. We can build, I will probably end up building both of them for Hydra and for Arena. He is by far my favourite, most used champ on my account. And in my opinion, probably the best free champion they ever gave us. Yeah, we've got Stoutus here. So we've got all the means to make good teams. And luckily, because Dav must be a bit of a completionist, so much of this has already got masteries and books. So we shouldn't have too much of a hard time there. So yeah, resources seem to be the thing that's holding this account back. But nothing that we can't work out. You get more not gems, you get potions from doing Clan Boss. That's probably the most likely reward you're ever going to get from Clan Boss. So they will build up quick enough, as will the gems. Once we get this Clan Boss team sorted, we'll no longer have to spend gems to buy more keys. And hopefully this number will start going back up. I see the silver is pretty good. My favourite trick on anyone's raid account, and I would advise most people just copy this, especially if you're mid-game and beyond, is when you go to the Forge and you click on Resilience. What have we got? Yeah, okay. You never need to forge Resilience gear. It's just not good enough. And the resources that are required to build it, now is this Magisteel? This comes from doing Arena. You're never going to run out. These are Faction Wars materials, and I don't think you're ever going to need to forge anything. Yeah, so all I would ever advise is building Perception and then some of these ones below. So by using Resilience, all you're really starving yourself of is building Swift Parry gear. I wouldn't worry about Swift Parry anymore. It's been a little bit power crept out. So in the first instance, one of my favourite things to do is to craft 100 pieces here. Now that's going to cost me 1 million silver. We're going to do, we'll just do 5 or 50 for the sake of the video. It's going to cost us 500,000 silver. This is the 4th one, and then that's the 5th one. So out of 500,000 silver that we've just spent, we can see all of this stuff is in here. Now, if I think you have to set the filters, don't you, in order to sell them? Yeah, so out of 50 sold, well, I mean, we spent 500,000, we're getting 2.1.5 back. That's a good return. That's a fantastic return. We just made 1.6 million without doing anything. All we've spent are resources that you're just going to keep accumulating without even knowing. So considering we could build 800 odd bits of, or forge 800 bits of material or bits of gear, there is a lot of silver on this account just waiting to be used. So a really good time to do this is during personal reward Clan v Clan. You'll get a lot of points and you'll get a lot of silver. So that, you know, by the time we finish this takeover, I would probably aim to do all of that, and let's see if we can bring this up close to like 60, 70 million, just so we've always got a safety net, because as you know, in raid, everything costs money. If you want to level up a champion, you have to put in silver. If you want to rank someone up, I think you have to put in, yeah, you have to put in silver for everything. So it's useful to have, and it's very easy to maintain. One thing I did notice when I just jumped on, and this is going to have to be a major priority for this account, and that is the faction guardians are pretty much empty. This is a bit of a problem, especially when you look at the roster and you start to see a lot of +2s and +1s. From now on, anything you pull, I would ignore empowerment. You really, really need to get these bumped up, because obviously they will apply to everything within that rarity. And even if you can just get, I mean, even to this middle one here, 30 accuracy and 30 resistance is huge on almost every champion, as well as obviously the attack and the HP. Speed is another thing you've got to be careful of. If you end up filling all this up, you might throw one of your teams out of sync, but it's just about being a little bit vigilant with what you're doing. But this does really need to be. I don't bother with rares, mainly for space on my account. I would when it comes to Dark Elves, because obviously we like to use Cold Heart, which he's done here. There's a missing one there. Yeah, we want to start building up this, because the stats you get, it just makes building your champions in the future so much less of a pain, because they've already got a head start with all of these stats that you get. So that's definitely probably the one main criticism I can find in this account at the moment. We really do need to start building those up. On the contrary to that, and this is something I've noticed with my account, you will get to a point in Raid where you really don't need any more champions. This guy's roster is brilliant. I can't see a reason why there's any content in the game we can't do. And every time you pull a champion, I think you're once again spreading your resources just that little bit, just thinner. I'm a little bit against spending real life money to buy shards, because the return rate on shards is pretty horrible. I like the rush you get from when you do pull a champion, but I hate spending something like $100 and getting absolutely nothing for it and then just wishing I hadn't in the first place. This account has got everything it needs for now, and I would argue that this is a good time, and this will happen to most players that hit like the sort of late end game. You don't need any more. You've got everything. If you must spend money, my advice, and don't take this as gospel, I try not to really spend any money in the game. I think one of the best returns at the moment are soul stones, because if you can pull a +6 on a legendary or even a mythical, that champion just becomes incredible. Also, the summon pools, they're not bad. I wouldn't advise constantly spending all of this money, but if there's a champion that appears in here like this guy, what's his name, Admiral Black Tusk, and you really, really want him, this is probably going to be a better route than spanking hundreds of pounds on sacred shards. That's just my opinion, though. I tend not to really encourage spending. I have spent a bit of money on my account, but once I hit late game, I realised there just wasn't any real benefit apart from the rush I was getting from summoning what I wanted, which unfortunately, well, it's Raid. It doesn't happen very often. But, overview, I think we're looking all right. There's a lot we can do with this account because there's a lot of champions. We just need... This account needs tuning, not fixing. It's a little bit late in the day to do it this time round as well, but I want to make sure he's got some very consistent Doom Tower teams as well, mainly for this Dark Fae rotation, because obviously the gear that you can craft from it, lethal, is top notch. So I think I've got a good idea now of what we need to do. I have actually already been gear cleansing. This started at about 1500. I've got it down to 950. I'm about... Where did I get to? I think I got down to Divine Speed. So I've got a few more gear sets to go through. Let's hopefully get that down by another 150 or so. One thing that makes me pretty happy is he's not got crazy amounts of artifacts or accessories, sorry. I struggle a little bit with cleansing these, mainly because of all these new sets that have come in, and the organization for them is a nightmare, but hey ho. That's where we're at. I think I've got something to work with, so I'm going to just dig in. I'm going to get this cleanse done, and I'm going to start writing some lists of champions that I think are just going to prove to be the best benefit for this account. So that is part one. I know we haven't really done anything in this video, but this now gives me an idea of where we're at. So please stick around for the next one. I should hopefully be releasing that soon. And until next time, thank you for watching.